You guys have heard me say it before, but I think it bears repeating. Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is one of the most incompetent politicians in Canadian history. Justin Trudeau and the federal Liberals are absolutely collapsing right now. There is no better way of saying it other than collapsing. They used to be at 34% support. Now they're hovering around 22, 23. If they're lucky, they sometimes get a 25. And Jagmeet Singh has not capitalized on any of it. Jagmeet Singh is in basically a shooting gallery full of opportunities to actually score points and gain popularity. And recently he's taken a couple of those by breaking away from the Liberals, by shredding the supply and confidence agreement and saying that he's generally not in line with the consumer carbon tax. But still, he just said that he's going to vote with the Liberals to retain their government, and he's not joining with the Conservatives to collapse the government, which makes his whole display of ripping up the supply and confidence agreement completely useless. And now I am happy to report that Jagmeet Singh is getting exactly what he deserves. He is right now slated in his riding of Burnaby Central. It used to be Burnaby South, but the boundaries have changed a little bit, so the name's changed. In Burnaby Central, he is slated to lose to the Conservatives. He is right now running a projected race of 34% with the Conservatives to 33% for him and the NDP. And that gives the Conservatives a 59% chance of winning the riding, 39 to the NDP, and a token 2% over to the federal Liberals. But, let's be fair, the federal Liberals are not going to invest a cent in this riding. They know they're not going to win, so they're not going to invest the resources. And some may say, well, he's the leader of the party. Obviously, he's going to still be able to pull out a win. I wouldn't go that far. Yes, usually leader seats are pretty safe. You're the incumbent, and oftentimes people like to vote for a leader. Just simply, they like to vote for a leader. There's this kind of idea that because you're voting for the leader of a party, you're going to get super good representation. Even though, in a certain sense, the leader doesn't have any time for you. Yes, they usually will visit their riding, and they will try and give special attention to that area of Canada. But overall, they're busy trying to, lead an entire political apparatus. They're not going to care about your public park being revitalized or anything. And Jagmeet Singh also isn't even from there. So while, yes, usually being a leader is an advantage, he does not live in Burnaby. Yes, he technically lives in Burnaby for the appearance, but he's a politician from Brampton. He lost election back in 2011, and then he was an MPP a little bit after that for a short while. And then when he saw the NDP's political chances in Ontario falling apart provincially, he jumped federal, became the leader of the NDP, and then scrounged around for a new riding and settled on Burnaby South, which is now called Burnaby Central. Do you think that many people in Burnaby Central think that he's their savior? He's their political savior. He was here to deliver all of the needs, or deliver for all of the needs that the people in his riding wanted? Not a chance. They don't care about him. Honestly, he's almost in the exact same position as the NDP leader in BC, David Eby, is. David Eby is in a riding that's famous at this point for throwing out premiers. They got rid of Christy Clark for David Eby. What says they won't get rid of David Eby for Paul Ranchford, who is the current Conservative candidate for the BC Conservatives in that riding? Right now, David Eby, or actually this isn't right now, but a week ago, he was given a 66% chance of winning his race. Now he only has a 58% chance of winning his race. It's not looking good for the NDP in British Columbia right now. And frankly, just people don't see the NDP as that much different from the Liberals. Jagmeet Singh can shred the supply and confidence agreement, but that's not going to convince people that the NDP solutions are markedly different from the Liberals. The Liberals' plan is usually to spend $1 billion on nonsense. An NDP plan is to spend $1.2 billion on nonsense. They don't actually have a difference in philosophy to the Liberals, other than they are technically a little bit more radical. But now I just want to go over to some NDP propaganda that they've been posting recently. I like doing this. I find political advertising so funny because it's oftentimes, it gives you great insight into the way that the party activists are thinking. And the party activists inside the NDP are now trying to get into a climate war with Justin Trudeau, who's also trying to get into a climate war with them. I would suggest they look at the current federal conservative polling, realizing that the conservatives are polling at 45% for a reason, and it's not because they talk about climate change all day. But this is an actual post from the federal NDP. In the header, it says Justin Trudeau's climate plan. And in this graphic, it says Justin Trudeau's climate plan: buy a pipeline, hand out dollars to big oil and gas, protect big oil and gas companies from paying their fair share, delay $15 billion in climate funding while the planet burns, fail to meet every single climate target. Jagmeet, you've been sitting in the jacuzzi with Justin Trudeau this entire time since 2019. Do you not think that you bear some responsibility for the things that you're hitting Justin Trudeau with? In a certain sense, I don't really care what he says about Justin Trudeau because it's still wrong. But it's just two basically far left parties fighting. I know the Liberal Party used to be considered a centrist party. It's not the same thing anymore. It's no longer Chrétien or Paul Martin's party. It is a party full of left-wing progressive activists. And now the NDP is trying to out left-wing progressive activists to the Liberals, and it's not going to connect with the voters. I'm not sure why I have to say this. Turns out voters actually care about not falling into poverty. Turns out voters don't care about the climate when they can't even afford rent. But the Liberals and the NDP both think their path to victory is attacking each other over not being the real climate activists. I don't know who they think this is appealing to, but it proves to me once again that party activists and consultants for parties are utterly incompetent. They don't know what people want because they all live in tiny bubbles. Every once in a while you'll bump into it, and you'll be amazed that these people actually think that this activist stuff is appealing to anybody. Here's Justin Trudeau speaking in Parliament talking about the fact that Pierre Poilievre or whatever is going to cut spending. All he's doing here is threatening Canadians with a good time. Canadians want the budget cut because the budget is overblown. It's not delivering any real services. People are not getting the quality of service for what they're paying.
If the opposition had spent any time listening to Canadians over the summer, he would have heard that they need solutions. They need answers to the challenges they're facing. That's not what he's offering. Indeed, he doesn't care about Canadians. He just cares about himself and his own political interests. We're going to keep focused on doing the things that he refuses to do, whether it's him voting against dental care, whether it's him voting against childcare, whether it's him voting against a national school food program. We're going to still deliver the things that matter to Canadians, like food in kids' bellies, childcare spaces, and supports for seniors to go to the dentist, many of them first time in years.
I gotta say, don't say food in kids' bellies. That's just weird. Never bring up anatomy when you're describing the services that you're providing people. But he's only delivering for his own political interests. As Trudeau looked at the polls recently, apparently Pierre Poilievre's selfish political interests are also in line with what 45% of Canadians want. So, his play. He can literally double his polling in many of these polls, and he wouldn't be at where the Conservatives are. Maybe he should change tactics because he's currently losing the game. And the thing is, I'd actually like for all Canadian parties, including the Greens, no matter how irrelevant they are, to moderate. When I say moderate, oftentimes when you hear moderation in conservative circles, you're like, oh goodness, somebody's going to try and convince me that we should all become progressive activists who are going to attack the oil and gas industry because that's what we heard a red Tory think tank say is going to win us the election or whatever. Aaron O'Toole proved that Canadians don't want liberal light type politicians. When I say that Canadian politics needs to moderate, I mean it needs to moderate back to the right, because we are so far left right now in Canada. The Conservative Party is genuinely to the center right. Poilievre is giving a center right vision of the country, but the other two parties, it would be hard to describe any of them. I guess there's the Greens too, as I just mentioned. The Liberals, NDP, and Greens, every single plan they have is not center right. It's just it's not center left. It's just on the left. They are simply either left or far left. The Liberals and the NDP just both represent a further monopolization of the economy by the government. There's a reason why over 44% of the GDP in Canada is government spending. Yes, some of that's provincial spending. Obviously, I know that provinces technically spend more combined than the federal government, but still, it's just proving the point that there is way too much government spending in this country, and it's not appealing to Canadians anymore. So trying to attack the Conservatives for cutting spending is just saying that I can't believe the Conservatives would even do the things that Canadians are asking them to do. Because parties, in a large sense, don't come up with their own policy, they respond to incentives of the public. O'Toole was basically denying the incentives that the public was laying down. That's why he fell on his face. And Poilievre succeeding because he's actually following the things that people are saying that they want from him. Anyways, that should be it for me today. I'm not going to drag this out too long. I am currently filming this at 1 a.m. and need to go to sleep. Thank you guys for watching the show. Donate to the Give Send Go if you want. I have a Chinese billionaire suing me for basically no reason, defamation. He's suing the National Telegraph for defamation. And still in 2.5 years, we're almost on 3 years, has not been able to actually provide any evidence that we defamed him, but he still sued us for $900,000, and we've had to pay more than $32,000 defending ourselves. So anything you guys can contribute there really helps us out. Thank you for everybody who's reached out to me while I've been in BC helping the BC Conservatives campaign. Eva and Demetrios, thank you for letting me drop off a sign at your house. And anyone else who lives in Abbotsford South, make sure to apply for a lawn sign. I'll swing by your house and say hi while I'm doing my grunt labor for the party, trying to get rid of the BC NDP. I enjoy it, but obviously it's always, it's still work to do out here. Have a good one, everyone.